The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not representative of the opinions and doctrine of Morris Community Church. We reserve the right to change our minds, and we reserve the right to be wrong. Welcome to the Roasted Christian Podcast 2017. This is Bobby.
And I'm John. Here at the Roasted Christian, we like our ideas the way we like our coffee. Roasted.
Johnny, it's 2017. 2016 has officially ended.
Woohoo.
We're done with that freaking year. And
P.S. Is it like a millennial thing to like hate on 2016, or is pretty much everybody not a fan?
I think world has agreed. Let's forget
There's a
what
global
just happened.
census. 2016 blew hard.
Yeah, yeah. It. I mean, there are some things I liked about 2016, but I'd have to think about really hard about what those.
Well,
are.
I mean, my daughter was born.
Your daughter was born
So
in
there's
2016.
And her birth date was 12/14/16. So that's
Really?
cool. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, Maggie's was 123, and she was born at 4:56.
Dang.
She weighed 7 pounds, 10 ounces, almost, or 7 pounds 9 ounces.
So
It was
close.
almost 789. I'm like,
Man.
oh my gosh. Yeah. So we start in the new year. We had some blog posts that to wrap up our 2016, our kind of thoughts. What was interesting is I was talking to Whitney about kind of my general musings of 2016 and how it was kind of a year, especially for the church, a year of relationship testing and kind of learning how to actually restore relationship. And my hope was that 2017 was going to be a year of actually where relationships do get restored and things progress and move forward. And she shared and about conversations starting and stuff like that. And she shared a thing from Magnolia.com with the Chip Gaines Fixer Upper show.
Mm-hmm.
And Chip and Joanna Gaines and Chip put a blog post about how they're all about restoration. That's like the business that they're in, but also about relationships and people and getting conversations started and building bridges and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of a very similar take on the year that I had. It was pretty cool.
Awesome.
Basically what I'm saying is me and popular people think alike.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
You should read my stuff too.
You're just our barometer,
Mm-hmm.
our weather vane for what popular people
What
are
popular
thinking.
people are thinking. Yep. That's totally no.
Totally no.
No. Chit chat. Okay. When is it going to warm up? Because a high today is -2, so we can go out and play some disc golf. Because, well, one, I got my basket today.
Oh, snap.
Got a travel Innova basket. Shout out to Innova.
Side note. Obviously, you say Innova.
I say Innova, yeah.
There's two schools, Innova and Innova.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Innova.
I think it's Innova. And I believe if you listen to the guy who started the company, he says Innova.
Well, there you go. That probably solves it.
I think that solves it.
Dave,
and it doesn't
Donapace?
conflict. Yeah, and it doesn't conflict with any other English interpretations of things.
True story.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
You got a basket.
I got a basket. We were just playing with it. I
drained all my putts.
yeah,
PS.
I missed some. I'm in love. Yeah, I cannot wait for lunchtimes to be able to go out and go to the RFC and work on some putting. And when we have the big gym open, that's not on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, because that's where noon ball plays. But if the big gym's open and no one's in there, we're gonna practice some long distance throws and some
Try
up
to ace
shots.
that puppy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm excited to get practicing and for the upcoming season of learning how to play some better disc golf. And maybe fulfilling some of my resolutions.
Ooh, more on that later.
More on that later. Any other? What are you looking forward to for disc golf in 2017?
Resolutionarily?
Nope. Just what are you looking forward to?
Okay. I am getting a disc golf basket tomorrow.
Bananas.
So I'm super pumped about that. I haven't measured my basement, but I think I could get it where I could putt like from 25 feet.
Cool.
Which is what Macbeth does.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't actually putt outside the circle. He usually does like 9 rounds or 9 sets of 12 putts
Okay.
from 25 feet at a time.
Yeah.
And then like he'll maybe drive for 600 feet and then putt some more.
Yeah.
We can't all be Macbeth.
Yeah.
But
McBeast doing McBeast things as,
yeah.
is it Ian Anderson from
Yes.
Central Coast would say?
So, yeah, that's another little rabbit trail.
Yeah.
Central Coast Disc Golf has become far and away my favorite disc golf channel.
Yeah. Yep.
They just
I
have,
love his just cool approach to
he's
to
very chill.
commentating. Yeah.
sometimes I wish the commentary would be a little louder. I've got to crank that thing.
Yeah.
But the footage is like surpasses
And it's going to get even
everything
better
else.
with this new drone that he just got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait. It should be tons of fun for
So,
2017.
grow
Grow the sport. Hashtag
Grow
grow
the
the sport.
And I got a free giveaway from Prodigy Discs. I got a tournament bag worth like $65.
Nice.
I got a hat and a shirt that doesn't fit me, and a mid-range disc with a holiday stamp on it.
Cool.
So I'm pretty pumped about that. It holds all of my discs. It has 2 gigantic water bottle holders, and they're
Nice.
both insulated.
Perfect for beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waterproof bottom, backpack straps. It's pretty solid.
Oh, dude, man, I'm excited for you for having that bag instead
Yeah.
of that puny little bag.
Now I need to hire a caddy.
Yeah. See, well, I was thinking about like Maggie. I could take Maggie. She's 7.
Yep.
I'm like, she could probably do 9 holes with me, be my caddy.
Yeah.
And she won't complain after like hole 2. You know, she could probably bust through. I think she could. And I think your O-Dog could probably do it.
Probably.
But he'd go run away like as soon as he saw
Yeah,
something
it would be
interesting.
a matter of reining him back in so
Yeah.
I can find some discs to throw. But
Owen, give me that. I need the blue one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully playing in a tournament this year.
ooh,
That would be super fun, and possibly just going and watching a tournament.
Right. I definitely want to see some pros in action.
Yeah.
I think the sport is right at the sweet spot where there are some seriously professional players, but it's not so big that they're inaccessible.
Yeah, yeah.
I am not looking forward to participating in any tournaments. That would just I derive no
Man,
pleasure from
I get so jazzed about like just daydreaming of like, hey, you're in this tournament and by chance you get the luck of the draw. You're playing with the pro who's like the coin
Yuck.
pro for the like. I would love that.
Okay,
that'd be so fun for me.
I saw one of I think it was an open off of Central Coast, and they had 3 pros and the equivalent of a chump.
Yeah.
And the difference was just sad. I would hate to be that guy.
I would love it. I don't care.
my
I
goodness.
would just playing with them and directly just trying and finding out exactly, okay, where you're at, what do they take when you take a certain line, and just how they do things
Right.
differently would just be
Well, don't get me wrong.
firsthand playing with them
Yeah.
I
would
just
love
it.
to play some of the courses that pros have been recorded playing and see what
Well, we
like,
got to play
kinda
Blue
match
Ribbon.
shots.
We
and-
have to play Blue Ribbon Pines this
Yeah,
year.
that'd
That should
be
be
fun.
another top-rated Minnesota course.
for sure.
Yeah, those are my things I'm looking forward to in disc golf 2017. Hashtag Grow the Sport. Okay, well, I'm gonna extend my hand out to people all around who are listening,
Grab on, folks.
and we're gonna grab on together, and we're gonna walk over to John's Coffee Corner.
Well, today in the coffee corner, today we're drinking coffee.
Yes, and
Coffee from Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
And I'm not sure what Helsar means, or Elsar, if you're Spanish. I don't know.
El Sar.
But yeah, it's from Costa Rica. This one I roasted a little bit lighter, which kind of gives me a twitch because I like homogeneous roasts, meaning color.
Yeah.
And generally, the darker you go, the more uniform it looks. So it's hard for me to roast lighter because some beans are going to be dark, some beans are going to be really light. And then you just kind of have to take an average and hope that your flavor gets where you want it to be.
Yeah.
But I tried it this time, and I think it worked out because it tastes super awesome. And the color was a little lighter. There was a little more red in the brown than just brown. But this is an archetypal Costa Rica cup. So it's balanced, restrained, with a clean finish, raw sugar sweetness, apple notes, mulling spice notes.
Hmm.
And it's also good for espresso.
Hmm.
So, yeah, some beans, they say, work best like City Plus to Full City Plus, which
Okay.
means like, I take that to mean generally stay away from the lighter roasts. But this one was City to Full City Plus. So I think it pretty much runs the spectrum. So we're trying, I would call it a lighter Full City. I don't think it's any earlier than Full City.
Okay.
But on the lighter side, which meant like 2.5 minutes a batch, which was kind of nice. Got in and out in a hurry.
Gotcha.
So today in the educational side of the Coffee Corner, we're going to be talking about how to process the beans. We're not going to go super in depth. We might save more for later.
But haven't we already talked about processing beans, John?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I was just
Okay.
like, there's obviously a difference of what you're going to be talking about versus what we already have talked about. So,
right.
like,
this is a step
versus roasting
in the
versus
process.
versus grinding.
Yep,
This is a step back behind
yes.
in front of roasting.
These are we're talking about the green coffee beans.
The green coffee beans.
Yep. And this is basically the process to get the green coffee bean out of the cherry.
Okay.
So coffee grows as like a berry
Mm-hmm.
on little bushes, and I mean it just looks like fruit. So, side note, how they came up with coffee is just, it astounds me.
How about milk from a cow? Let's
well,
start with that one.
yeah, that
like,
too,
Some
but-
weird dude's got to go. I think I got to drink that.
Yeah.
And then,
but I
it's
mean,
not bad.
this has like 6 steps at least before it's even remotely enjoyable.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. But anyway, so the coffee cherry, there's a few different processes. There's wet process, dry process, and wet hull process.
Okay.
So the wet means you take all of the cherries and you dump them in a thing of water, and that separates, it takes off the outer cherry part of it, and it also separates based on weight all of like the defective ones and the ones that aren't ripe, and then you can kind of clean off the good ones just like right off the top.
Yeah.
And then they ferment it a little bit, and then they peel off the husk, and then they dry it on these big sheets, and then you're good to go to be shipped. I think it's like 11% moisture is what's left when they ship. Dry hull is all by hand. It's the oldest method. It's based on visual inspection. If the cherry doesn't look good, they don't keep it. So a lot more defects or irregularities can be found in that, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper, and people have been doing it forever. Wet hull is what takes place in Sumatra, and that actually affects the flavor. So what they do is basically they use water, as far as I know, for the entire process, which means generally the beans are a little wetter, like even when you're like roasting them.
Okay.
Which means there's more body and less acidity, but less
flavor,
less aroma, less flavor, and it's got kind of that earthy. I don't know. It's like thick or fuzzy.
So the water kind of cancels out some of the, like you said, acidity and oils and stuff like that are currently in the bean or the cherry or whatever that actually gives it a lot of its flavor.
Right. So actually the big difference between like coffee from Sumatra and some of the other places in the world is actually their process, not necessarily like the soils or anything like that. And then, so wet process coffee is generally the best because you get low acidity, lots of body. You also get a very clean mouthfeel, but it's just more expensive. So you're not going to be able to get every varietal in the world wet processed.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. It's also a little tamer. Dry hull, according to one place I read, is a little wilder for flavor, and some people go for that. It's not going to be as predictable as of a cup.
Are you playing a game, Gabe? Oh.
So there you have it. Those are the different versions. I don't know even. It's probably on the website. They don't include it in the sticker that they send with the coffee. I believe that this was wet processed.
Gotcha.
Costa Rica. Generally, the South American ones are wet processed because that accentuates the clean mouthfeel.
Typically, Helsar Carcassa is produced by washing the pulp and drying on raised beds in the sun.
Well, there you go. So that's that. Thank you for joining me in my coffee corner.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, I think it's going to be time for the fresh roast.
Ooh. What do we discuss this day, Bob?
Well, it is the new year, John, and I think it is fitting for us to talk about resolutions.
I think New Year's resolutions are stupid.
And I put that in here, actually.
I know.
If John thinks New Year's resolutions are stupid, pressure him into New Year's resolutions with some type of biblical
Okay, so
power
I think
force.
first let's talk about whether or not to make them.
Okay.
And then we can talk about ones that you've made and ones that I maybe should make,
Yes.
provided you can convince me.
Yes. Okay. Should we make New Year's resolutions? Why do you think no?
I think no, because I don't think they work. Like of the roughly half of people who in the world or the States, I don't know, 45% of people generally make New Year's resolutions.
Yes. I got some stats.
8% of them follow through on them.
Well, what do you think? Okay. What are the top 10 New Year's resolutions for 2015? I got some stats.
Probably
Number one is
eat less, work out.
Yeah, sorry. Number one, lose weight. 2,
I don't know.
get organized.
Oh,
3, spend less, save more.
yeah.
4, enjoy life to the fullest.
Ooh.
5, staying fit and healthy. 6, learn something exciting. 7, quit smoking. 8, help others in their dreams. 9, fall in love. 10, spend more time with family.
Boom. Okay. I'm not saying that New Year's resolutions are bad. I think
But you're saying
I think
because
it's
people
kind of-
don't succeed, you shouldn't do them.
I think there's a little bit of a contrived spirit about New Year's resolutions. Like, well, it's January 1st. I think I'm going to become a new person. And then like a month later, it's like, nope, I'm actually the same person. And that didn't really help me at all.
But it doesn't
Like,
mean that a goal.
I think we should still have goals.
Okay, but it's
Definitely.
it's the New Year's resolution is just a fancier way of saying, all right, refocus. It's just a time period to check in your brain to say, refocus. Do I have any goals? What are my goals?
Yeah. But can't you do that in June?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But if just because people fail at doing their resolution in January after like week 2,
Right.
doesn't mean that the concept of having a resolution for the year, a goal to set, is invalid or dumb.
You're
Because people fail doesn't make it dumb. Actually, to me, it makes it more challenging. Like, I want to be in the 8% that
Right.
succeed.
I think partly it's how I operate, maybe. Like, I'm not super self-motivated. I require a lot of external, that or
Yeah.
my passion to land on something productive. Because right now it's on Pokemon.
Do you
and
do you
disc
like
golf.
really pick the battles you want to fight?
No, they
as-
just happen. And
So you're not even like.
like
So I'm saying like instead of
like for discipline.
yeah, you pick like I'm specific. Like I'm really filter out what I'm gonna make as a goal or the battles I'm gonna fight because I want to succeed very well. So I'm only really gonna pick
I
battles I'm
have.
gonna win.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Instead of like, I'm going to set goals. Maybe they're unattainable. Maybe they're too hard.
Yeah, no,
I'll
I
set a
do
ton of
that.
them and maybe
I
I'll hit
just-
50% of my goals instead.
yeah. I just
but,
generally really suck at.
so
trying to-
you
to
when you
meet
set a
goals.
goal, it's like 99% of the time I'm finishing this goal.
No, not at all. Like, okay, so the only time I set goals is like for things that I know I'm not naturally going to complete. So it still is a
Okay.
challenge.
Okay.
It's just generally me setting goals for myself doesn't seem to make a difference as far as whether or not I pursue it and succeed. Like so there are some things that I need to improve at
But it's like vision.
and work on.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll just like improve it on it and work on it. And then like I get better at it. And sometimes I set a goal and the same thing will happen. Or the reverse will happen where there's something I need to improve on and I just suck at it. and then I set a goal, and I still suck at it.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I'm just not very goal oriented.
Yeah. Do you see the value? So to me, the value in setting the goal, like if we talk spiritual sense of things, the value of evaluating something and then putting vision towards where you want to be is you put in kind of like essentially parameters and like that fire under your butt to actually get something accomplished to get to the spot you want to be, instead of just hoping that it happens along the way. It's basically adding intentionality, establishing a vision for something that you don't normally maybe necessarily that has just, you've tried to naturally have it happen in the past instead of like intentionally making it happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So my thing, and like the weird part is to say I am not goal oriented for a lot of people means like, so what actually,
what do you
are
do?
You even motivated to do anything at all?
Yeah.
And so like, I've been trying to think about like what actually
how can you
so
not
like,
be goal oriented?
Okay, so with writing, like I can set goals for writing. Like I'm gonna sit in front of my typewriter for an hour a day and hopefully get some content out.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to turn out at least 5 pages a day or what have you.
Yeah.
And that usually lasts for like 2 weeks, a month if I'm lucky. And that would never have worked for writing a novel, which I actually did complete.
Yeah.
But that was based on, which I think is kind of insightful for me. It was totally based on rewards. So every time I got to a certain like landmark in my book, like a quarter, a half, 3/4, and completion, I got to order cigars. And that was enough to drive me to be like, yeah, if I just get a few more pages, I can
goal
get cigars.
Itself is not the reward, the accomplishing of the goal. You need a secondary reward system for the goal.
The fire under your butt, as you were saying.
Yeah. Some people can be motivated just by accomplishment.
No fires for me.
Yeah, so the accomplishment itself can be the fire instead of like freaking cigars in the end. Is the fire. Yeah.
So I operated it a little differently, meaning it's really hard for me to set resolutions or goals and actually stick to them because I need some other kind of motivation. Like just having a goal. Like I can set goals all day. Like I know what I want to achieve and what I want to go for. Like with disc golf, I would love to set, well, maybe I am setting a goal. I want to be able to throw 300 to 350 feet on a drive by the end of this next summer.
Yeah.
Setting up like a regimen of like, well, every day I'm going to go out and throw like such and such and like look at these videos and whatever isn't necessarily going to work.
That's totally
I have to get super, super, super pumped up about disc golf and maybe be like, okay, if I can throw 300 feet, like I'll get a driver that works for my style or, you know, what have you.
Yeah. See, to me, the accomplishment of just hitting, so one of my goals is I want to throw 400 feet.
Yeah.
I threw, what did I throw? Like 340, 360? I threw like 360 or something this year.
Nice.
I got to hit the magic course. 4. Yeah, I think was it hole 9 on Palm 340 on the course. 360 on the baseball field.
Gotcha.
I definitely like just the fact that if I can throw a 4 in the front of that number, like to me is like, oh yeah. So I'm going to be looking at video and I'm going to be videotaping myself and just looking at form and finding where are my weaknesses in where I'm like losing power and things like that. To me, that is motivation enough for certain things. I've had the goal to read the entire Bible in a year for like the last 10 years in a row, and I haven't accomplished it. Again, it's one of my goals this year, but I think you're changing something in me, John, and that would be give myself a reward in the end for accomplishing the goal.
Well, and that actually, there is definitely spiritual application of that. Like a lot of teaching revolves around the idea that we are motivated, we are incentivized by reward, and even the kingdom works that way. Like salvation isn't based on what we do, but everything we get like on Judgment Day is based on what we do. So let's do lots of stuff.
What's interesting is it's kind of a mind. Well, maybe not in the Psalms necessarily, but relatively else in the New Testament. it's kind of a relatively not significant element of what's talked about.
What?
Rewards.
Oh.
Your reward in heaven.
Okay.
Like it's more about the gospel and clarifying what the true gospel really is about and how it's changing and shaping your life.
Okay.
But you're right. All of that is like part of even a bigger picture of, and what you do with that will have eternal consequences. What do you want? And it's like, wow, I really do. Like if you can see past just right in front of you, and I think that's kind of like the element with the goal. Like, wow, I really want 400 feet, but man, getting up every day is like, and throwing every day, gosh, I can't, it's like, it takes some time. If you can see past that towards, hey, I can compete at a tournament now because I can throw the distances I need to throw to compete at a tournament. You're looking past what's the direct challenges in front of you. Yesterday we went, played at the RFC, and we sat there just for a second. And we're like, do we go? It's really cold out. Like, do we want to start the car? And it's like, we stood up and we went, Gabe and I went, nope, we have to push through this questioning time to get to what we want. And that's just being a little bit more fit and being a little bit more in shape. And afterwards I was like, gosh, I do love doing this, going and playing racquetball, because I just feel better every day that we've been doing it. I don't feel as sick, and just everything about it is good. So pushing through those periods of mediocrity to see the end result, or to see the end goal, and have it in mind, and the end reward is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I think it's important to find out, like, New Year's resolutions aside, to find out how each of us as individuals function. Yeah. And then using that, figure out things like ways of improvement. Like if you want to get more fit, like what are ways to motivate you? Because it's not always, I'm just going to decide to do this every single day. It maybe won't happen if you go that route. And yeah, there's definitely nothing wrong with rewards. But I think we can both agree that setting goals, however you achieve them, is probably a good thing. I think it's good.
So, like, okay, let's say spiritual goals.
Okay.
Like, is that just a weird concept? Well, I have a spiritual goal. I can name a few people who would maybe not like that's a weird concept of just having a spiritual goal. Maybe not. But like, to me,
I can see where it could stray into
what do I want to grow in? Yeah, true.
But it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to.
And I think as long as you keep it as like an internal thing, or something like between you and the Father, like, so what? Like, go for it.
Yeah, like I want to grow in wisdom and in risk. So like being able to challenge myself to take more risks spiritually with either non-believers or just people at work or something like that, just to challenge myself to take more risks and to dive into the word more, to have more of the scripture memorized, so that way when applications are needed for the scripture, I have it more as a part of me instead of something like, oh, I know it's there and I got to look it up and then apply it, but just more something internalized has changed my heart. And so I think those are some of my spiritual goals, is to grow in wisdom and take more risks, but then also to really internalize more of the word. So, but now you totally and my reward for reading the Bible for the whole year is probably another basket. I'm going to have to tell Whitney, I'm sorry, I'm going to buy another basket if I read the entire Bible this year.
Yep. It works, I'm telling you.
Right now, give me a spiritual goal, John.
Okay.
Because you've just convinced yourself that goals are the right thing to do.
There's a couple I've been kind of chewing on, not because it's New Year's, for the past, I don't know, few weeks, just kind of thinking about like where I want to be and like the things that I'm not doing currently. So it's a little bit unspecific, but I definitely need to just be in the word more. Yeah. Which is pretty much like that's a every year thing. But I'm realizing like the longer it goes that I'm not continually in it, I just lose that context. And, going, like being in a church body context once or twice a week is really not adequate to be transforming your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a lot more kind of worldly influence on a day-to-day basis. And it's just like, it's hard to fight that battle unless you have kind of some kind of daily, you're just immersing yourself in it. And I'm not there, so I should be. The other one was mentoring somebody, because I had a dude and we played lots of chess and it was super awesome. And then he left, and I'm like, I should probably do something with someone. I just don't
do that whole community thing with someone.
So that's on there. Right. Okay. So those, and then on the less spiritual side, disc golf. I want to throw 350, and then writing. I got to do something because I've had a kind of messy, untouched novel just sitting for like, it's got to be over a year. And I've done a little bit with it, but it's far from done. And I really think it is worth submitting. I just haven't gotten it there, and it's entirely on me. So that should really happen.
Yep. The ones I wrote down are read the entire Bible, throw 400 feet for disc golf, give and save more financially, and read more than 5 other books. So not the Bible, but read 5 other books this year. And I'm finishing one, hopefully, like within this next couple of weeks. So then that will be like, woohoo, one.
Nice.
So yeah, because I tend to like, reading's hard for me. Finding the time, that's not as hard. But being disciplined enough to sit down and not have the ADD kick in and be like, blah, I gotta go run or something, and it's just like, yeah. So.
Yeah, reading has become tougher for me. Like every 5 minutes, I've got to check my phone. It's like, no, I used to be able to do like half a book at a sitting. It's like,
oh man. Yeah, we were driving and there was a girl who was on her phone the whole time, and the passenger next to her was on the phone the whole time while we were in the cities for Christmas. And I'm like, and nothing, just totally head down. Almost missed her turn. I was like, oh man, I hate this.
The other reason why I think New Year's resolutions are stupid, although you did mostly convince me, is that Oprah Winfrey doesn't make New Year's resolutions anymore.
So that's probably reason enough to make them, right? She doesn't do it. We should probably be doing it.
Well, to be honest, I was Googling I was trying to Google if all countries make New Year's resolutions or not. And all I got was weird articles plus this one.
What does Oprah
I decided, okay, so for years she tried to make resolutions, and apparently she learned her lesson the hard way. So she would say stuff like, asking God for courage, and then you get a whole bunch of stuff that is super unpleasant that actually like has to increase your courage or you die, kind of thing. So she says, the real truth of me is I have actually learned the great joy of being in the present moment. So I can literally start crying over a leaf.
Oh, the jeebas.
Yep. I can walk in the morning and see the leaf and cry. There you are on the ground. So there's some Oprah wisdom.
Man.
It was almost like kind of motivational until I got to that part, and I was like, wait, what?
Well, then I'm gonna call hypocrite and roast Oprah Winfrey then, because
boom,
she's all over the place on New Year's for your resolutions for Weight Watchers. All over the place on the commercials for now's the time to set the goals to lose some weight. Well, first 10 pounds on us.
This literally came out yesterday, so maybe she's
literally a hypocrite.
Okay. There you go.
Oprah Winfrey, feel the burn. You're getting roasted. I just don't get that. Like,
I don't know.
The whole point of like, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 15 pounds. It's a goal. It's a resolution.
Yeah, boy.
She's touting it during the new year. She's been an advocate for Weight Watchers for many years.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm super confused by that.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, New Year's resolutions. Do you have them? Check us out on Facebook, maybe Twitter. I've already scheduled the post to go up later today, Monday, for asking the question, what's your New Year's resolution? What's your spiritual goals for 2017?
There you go. And the stranger, the better.
Yeah.
I would love to
we need
hear
something,
some really unique.
We need a funky one.
Yeah.
What's somebody's really funky goal? PG?
I mean,
13?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
I
dive into like.
I don't know how transparent.
You can't say
people are
the
gonna
F
be
word one time in a PG-13 movie.
You can.
Yes.
And actually, they may even be fudging on that because okay. Side note, again, there's a Russell Wilson. That's not his name.
That's not his name. You're
Russell Crowe. Who is Russell Wilson?
Quarterback for the Seahawks.
There you go. Not him.
Not
Russell
him.
Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
There's a movie with Russell Crowe, not The Next 3 Days, but something very similar that also came out like right next to it. It's with Rachel McAdams.
Okay.
State of Play. That's the one. He says the F word like for real right in front of the screen, but then for whatever reason we had the subtitles on, and it is scripted that people off camera say the F word twice more. And that's a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
So I'm like scratching my head. I don't know like if the rules are specifically like only once
in
at
camera?
a certain volume or only once and then the other ones have to be off camera. I have no idea. But there were definitely 3
I found that
at
out
least
with
on the subtitles.
What's the movie with John Travolta? He's like a music talent guy, and he finds this girl who can sing, and what's her name's in it too? Uma Thurman.
Wait, you're not talking
Big
about
Short?
Pulp Fiction, are you?
No, Be Cool. The movie's Be Cool. And in the movie, they were talking about movies and films and stuff like that. And he goes, you can say beep one time in a
Right.
PG-13 movie. And I laughed. And the people who I was with were like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because this movie's PG-13. So he just said it the one
Right.
time. Now it's not.
It's a little meta.
Yeah. So, okay, how did we get there? Why did I bring us there?
One F word per Facebook post.
Oh, yeah.
maximum.
PG-13, blah, blah, bam.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Bring it around. All right, well, I think that does it for the fresh roast.
Indeed.
And we got some roasted segments. I slam personally on Florida quite a bit for good reason.
Yep.
And here are some of the good reasons. Top 10 Florida man headlines for 2016. Actually, this one just says January 16, and these are still pretty good. Florida man found in hotel room with dead body, 2 live monkeys. Florida man loses part of lip trying to make out with wild bird of prey.
All right.
Florida man can't produce driver's license for police, shows them mixtape instead.
That'll get you off.
Florida man says he killed cross-dressing voodoo priest because he was threatening him with magic.
Oh, jeez.
Florida woman tells police she has no idea how drugs got into her genitals.
Oh, man.
Man. Florida man applies for job as head coach of Tampa Bay Buccaneers, cites fantasy football experience.
You know it.
Man. This one's good. Florida man arrested after using wanted poster as Facebook photo. Oh, man. These are just great. Jupiter man arrested for tossing gator into Wendy's.
Wait, what?
Yep.
All
Florida man poops, pees in cop car after warning deputy he was speeding home to go to the bathroom. Probably should have listened to him.
Yep.
Fight over fart leads to blows at Soppy Joe's.
Wow.
Man. Jeez.
Florida, you
2016.
are a
You did not
stand-up-
disappoint us.
Yep.
Doing so good. Keep it up, Florida. Oh, jeez. Okay. There's that one.
Mm-hmm.
I also was thinking about a new segment called Planting the Seed.
Mm.
And I'm going to plant, and what it is I'm going to plant a seed, a bean seed, into you of knowledge of something.
Into your mind.
Into your mind hole. I'm going to plant this. We're not going to talk about it. And you just got to stew on it, and maybe we'll talk about it later, but it's planting the seed, and we'll see if it grows.
Okay.
Okay? This 2016 year talked a lot about, I think it brought more to the forefront of race, especially with Black Lives Matter and police shootings, which has happened over the last number of years, and brings up the idea of white privilege. And I heard a speaker, his name is Michael Stewart, from the Verge Network, share an analogy. I think it's a common analogy, but he framed it in a way that talked about how white privilege is, you can think of it as the game of Monopoly. And here it is, as quick and dry as I can make it, to plant the seed. Okay, let's say your grandfather and my grandfather go and play Monopoly. And your grandfather, every time he passes go, my grandfather punched him in the face and collected his $200. And so as they continue to play, that is the new role my grandfather puts in. He punches your grandpa in the face, takes your $200, John. How do you feel about that?
That's pretty lame.
That's pretty lame. Well, then my dad and your dad sit down. And my dad says, John's dad, I'm super sorry. Obviously, that is not within the rules. We don't want to do that. From now on, let's play by the rules. And our dads agree. Let's play by the rules. So as we're playing, your dad gets a little bit of money and works his way around the board, and he gets to the spot where he's going to buy Marvin Gardens. Nice spot. It's one of the yellows in the corner. Pretty nice. Well, my dad says, you know what, John's dad, I don't think I'm going to let you take Marvin Gardens. How about you buy everything that's on this side of the board, like the light blues,
the cheap side.
Yeah, and the purple. Like you can buy those, and I'll buy everything on this side of the board. And the thing is, there's not a lot you can do about it, John's dad, because my dad owns the bank at the same time. So you kind of have to play by that rule because otherwise there's no other way to play. Mm-hmm. So we keep playing. Or they keep playing. The dads keep playing, and my dad keeps building more and more wealth on the wealthier side of the board, and is able to get lots of hotels and lots of money. And every time your dad comes around, he has to pay exorbitant amounts of rent on that side of the board. It's a little bit, as you would say, skewed. Well, then you and I sit down, John, and I'm like, well, this is not right, John. From now on, we're going to play just strictly by the rules, right? The problem is, the board is already skewed in my favor considerably.
You've got
when
all
you
the
and I sit
property,
down. I have all the property,
cash.
I have the wealth, I have the cash. Now, do I apologize for my granddad punching your granddad in the face and taking money? Well, dude, that was like 3 hours ago of playing Monopoly. Like, why are we still talking about that? You know, slavery was like hundreds of years ago, man. Why are we still talking about that? So white privilege is analogized with the Monopoly game. The game itself has been skewed over time.
To the point that resetting the rules doesn't rectify everything.
Because we didn't wipe the board clean.
Right.
I didn't pay restitution for the damages caused over years.
This is a multi-generational game of Monopoly.
Of Monopoly that has affected us whether we like it or not. So, seed planted, what do you think about that?
Chew on that action.
And comment and spit it out on your comments on Facebook, Twitter. And then finally, roasted review.
Oh,
John,
snap.
we got to talk about it.
We got to.
Rogue One. Okay.
Star Wars.
Or
was it?
Oh, good question. So Gabe's leaving the room now because we're going to go spoiler alert. If you have not watched Rogue One and don't want to know anything that happens, you are
This
have
is
the right.
last thing we're going to talk about.
This is the last thing we're going to talk about. So you have the right to shut this off and join us next week. But if you don't care or if you've watched it, continue on our roasted review of Rogue One. I didn't think it blew like you said it blows. I don't think it.
I maybe used overly strong language.
Okay,
but I was okay. Here's the deal. If I am sitting in the theater, inundated by really, really loud noises and a screen that I can't escape, and I'm sitting there thinking how much I don't like this movie, to me that says a lot.
Well, why didn't you like the movie?
That's all I'm saying. That's why I said this blows, because
were your expectations as crazy high because of people were
shifting all over in my seat. I was like counting the minutes. I'm like, when is this thing going to be done?
What didn't you like?
Okay.
I didn't think it was the greatest. Okay,
right.
People have been saying this is the greatest Star Wars film ever. I don't think that's the case.
So here's the deal. I will admit that entertainment is subjective.
Yes.
And I do not expect anyone to be convinced of my position. I'm not here to convince.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I went into the movie and I thought it was meh at best. So here's the deal. At first, I read a couple really, really early preliminary reviews that were pretty lukewarm.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, okay, it's probably going to suck, but hey, it's a Star Wars movie, so I'm going to like it.
Gotta go watch it. Yeah.
I think that was my mistake. They put Star Wars in the title. I assumed I was going to like it. Okay, so then the real reviews came out, and a lot of fan reviews, and the critics' reviews were like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah. It's not great. It's not perfect by any means, but it's pretty good. Yeah. And like fans will definitely love this movie, period.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then like different people I talked to were like, yeah, this movie's great. There's a Star Wars account on Instagram I follow. They were like, this is my second favorite Star Wars movie next to Empire Strikes Back.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, this is a legitimate movie.
Yeah.
So I went in and I know that expectations play a big part.
Yeah.
My expectations were this is not going to be a perfect movie. Therefore, it will be a campy Star Wars movie that I will love because it's campy. I mean, that's to me that's what Star Wars is.
They're going to hit the sweet spot of Star Wars, and you're going to love every element of the sweet spot.
It will feel like Star Wars, and even if there's like glaring plot holes or like they don't explain stuff or the characters are weird, whatever, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
The opposite happened. It was not a perfect movie, but it was ridiculously serious, and it to me it didn't feel like Star Wars at all. And I've been trying to narrow down why that is.
So what feels like narrow that down. Right. What feels like Star Wars?
It's really hard for me to describe what a Star Wars movie feels like. But one of the things that I think was glaringly obvious that it was missing was lighthearted dialogue between characters.
Yeah.
Especially in the old ones, you have just these kind of ridiculous conversations.
Yeah.
And it's not like the movie is
that George Lucas type flavor of because he has that in Indiana Jones and he has that in other just like that unbelievable type witty conversation.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And probably a lot of it centers around Han Solo, and he wasn't in this one, and you could feel it probably. Yeah. But this movie had a lot of one-liners that absolutely fell flat.
Well, the robot had
they were one-liners that were terrible.
Okay,
like I didn't find a single one funny, and like
nothing from the robot.
Nothing from the robot.
You didn't find anything from the robot funny.
Nothing. So here's the deal. I think the robot part was contrived.
Yeah.
And they tried really, really hard to get that like little humor piece in there.
Yeah.
But it was a different sort of humor than what normally is in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it worked.
I think an element of that that probably didn't work for you is that zero robots up to this point in the Star Wars universe that I can think of have personality.
Well, that's not true.
It's not totally true.
Both C-3PO and R2-D2 have lots of personality. I was not a huge fan of BB-8, but I was willing to deal with BB-8.
It's a different. Maybe personality is the wrong thing, wrong way of describing it. I mean, he definitely seemed more. He's different than C-3PO in type of character.
For sure, yeah. But I mean, like I've read Star Wars books, I've played the games, and they all have droids in there with a variety of personalities. There's one in Knights of the Old Republic that's an assassin. So I mean, there's a variety. But that wasn't the only thing. I think they tried really, really hard on the wrong areas, and what I mean by that is I think they poured millions of dollars into the CGI Grand Moff Tarkin and the CGI Leia, and I just think it's stupid. Like, I get that Grand Moff Tarkin is an important player in the Death Star, and I really like his character. And as soon as I saw him on the screen, it was like, oh, you went there. Like, even if you get it 95% perfect looking, it's still not perfect looking. And in 5 years, you're really going to know it's not perfect looking. And I mean, the camera just goes straight into his face, and you're like, ugh. Like, it's weird. The other thing was Darth Vader. He was awesome. The very, very last scene.
Oh, yeah. The last 2 minutes of the movie is fantastic.
Except when he is choking Orson Krennic, and he makes a joke about choking Orson Krennic. And you're like, dude, Darth Vader is a Lord of the Sith who is force choking someone because he's pissed off. He does not make force choke jokes. Like, that's just, it's so bizarre. So that took me right out of the movie.
I don't think so. I think in 4 he's kind of, doesn't he, in the very beginning when he's in the conference room with the other individuals and he's choking them, doesn't he kind of also give kind of...
He shows off.
He shows off, but is humorous in his line of not like kind of explanation of what his expectations are. He has a humor twist to it.
He does?
Yeah.
He says, I find your lack of faith disturbing. That's not humorous.
Maybe we're talking about...
He's like killing the guy. Like, so it was just a weird... Okay, and I mean, like, the movie doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I was expecting the movie to be imperfect, but I guess I was hoping for campy imperfect, and they went for, we tried for perfection and ended up with a weird conglomerate of just stuff. I don't know. I mean, there were definitely elements that were cool. I very much enjoyed like the space battle and stuff at the end. And Darth Vader actually having
a kick-ass
James
moment.
Earl Jones was bananas.
Yeah, that was so good. As soon as I heard his voice come out, I was like, they actually got him. There's no way they didn't. Yeah.
So that was super cool. I don't know. I like to think that
what about just,
I went into
let's talk
the movie.
About the story, though. The story was to also bridge kind of a missing gap in Star Wars lore.
And I feel like that's the part that they spent the least amount of time on. It bridges the gap, but it's very uninspiring and not really surprising.
Sure, yeah.
And you're left with like okay, so the designer of the Death Star made it possible for the rebels to blow it up. Yeah. That's cool. But there's no real complexity. The other thing is Saw Gerrera, or Saw, I think, was entirely useless.
Yeah,
like
that's the Forrest Whitaker character.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I'm like, he was in there for what was his point of existence at all?
Totally could have taken him out, gone right to the rebels. So that was frustrating. I mean, the director of the movie has done like 2 sort of blockbuster movies before. Everything else is just tiny and unheard of, and I think it showed. Like, just the whole direction of the movie, it seemed like, I don't know. So I went in, I like to think that I had some expectations, but really I just wanted to be entertained. I was not looking to criticize the movie, and I was not entertained.
I was entertained in the last few
10-15 minutes.
I didn't like the beginning on how confusing it was.
Oh my goodness.
We were jumping to planets. All of a sudden the planets have crazy ass names
in 10 minutes.
And every character had a name it was hard to even listen to. My mother was like, I'm like, what are they trying to say is their name? Think about what Star Wars, Han, Luke, Leia, Darth, like Yoda, simple names that people can hear.
Now it's like Chirrut Imwe.
Yeah, and you're like, what are you saying? And then when they throw it into conversation, you're like, who are they talking about? I don't know what's really going on. So that was kind of
Yep.
the jumping around was a little confusing. I didn't like that. What I liked was that they wrapped up a believable concept of why the Death Star has a single point of failure. They gave me a believable approach to it. Was that it was about a relationship, about love, about a love for his daughter and a love for the rebellion of saw something wrong in what, the Empire was doing, and he created this way. So that totally, I liked that. It answers the questions. I knew going in once they said, hey, Rogue One's going to be between 3 and 4. I'm like, oh, it's about getting the Death Star plans and everybody dies. Like that was immediately my guess.
Yeah.
Totally right. So I was left a little like, oh yeah, this is.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And the
I
other
guess I
part
knew
about
that
that's
going
not
in
inspiring
too,
of it is there's no character that continues forward for you.
Right.
So it's hard making a movie that fits into a gap of a storyline. You're now just waiting for the end of. Like, we're really just waiting for 8. Like, what's 8 gonna bring?
Yep.
What's 9 gonna bring?
I mean, I was literally, it was halfway through the movie, and I was like, boy, I hope 8 comes out soon.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it's a Star Wars movie, I think, in name only.
Yeah.
And it just really made me want to watch episode.
You know
8.
what they could have done is they probably could have answered these questions in like the next movies somehow.
Yeah.
And they actually could have answered, like, why is there a hole in the Death Star? Like, they probably could have answered that in episode 7. Because guess what? There's another big-ass Death Star that's coming out. And, like, how did we beat it the first time? Well, thankfully, because we had a general on the inside that, it's like,
right. Yeah, I guess a whole lot of it felt redundant.
I was entertained because I think I was anticipating what was going to happen and how they were going to do things in the middle of it. So I was engaged because I was like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do this? How are they going to do this?
Right.
Throughout the whole movie. But then I sit back and go and look at it. I really like the Darth Vader ending scene leading you into 4.
Yep.
Which is fantastic. And I liked how they wrapped up why there is a single point of failure at the Death Star. Past that, it was really just a hard movie to make.
Right.
I'm indifferent on the CGI of Leia and
I mean, it's kind of
but like you said, 5 years from now you're really going to notice it, and I'm like, I didn't even think of that. That's so true, because as soon as we look at the Phantom Menace and stuff like that, you look at those movies and you're like, and Yoda as a CGI guy, you're like, oh my gosh, this is awful.
It is kind of in keeping with the rest of the Star Wars movies.
That's
I mean,
true.
they're gonna look dated.
Yeah, I mean,
but I just the last, when they get to the last planet, and up from there until the end, I was engaged. Mm-hmm. But the entire time leading up to that, I was bored. I was distracted. I was like, if I'm thinking of stuff like not in the movie, but like how they made something, or different actors
even
looking
if they
like
built like the Jen
stuff.
Is it Jen's her name?
Jin.
Build even more of her history and story of her growing up with Forrest Whitaker. Like, give me some of that backdrop, so I'm even more emotionally crushed when you kill her in the end.
Right.
Like, that would even, like, I'm like, man, I got invested, and then you crush it. Like, that's so not Disney. I like it. Like, like that's kind of, I would have gone there a little bit.
And that's what was touted, like, because I say it's a serious movie that failed, and people are like, well, it was supposed to be serious and dark. Yeah. It was not dark. Yeah. It was not a dark movie.
No, it wasn't.
It was just serious. It was just serious. Which meant boring.
Yeah. You could have pulled me along even farther into especially her and her dad and growing up with Forrest Whitaker. Well, because then it would have made Forrest Whitaker's character make sense of some kind. Like,
he would have been a little more indispensable.
Part in shaping who this person is and why she's going to make the decision she's going to make. Like, make the decision of, I'm going to die in the end. Mm-hmm. Like, they didn't even let them. I think the final 2 characters, they just kind of like were running and knew they were going to die. Like, this is the end. It's going to happen. Instead of being like, there's some chances. I could get on a ship. I could do this. I could do that. Right. And there was no conflict of, do I just save myself or do I just accept what the fate is?
Yep.
Like, even just having that, like, quick conflict would have been like, oh, man. And especially if there was, like, something in her upbringing, like with Forrest Whitaker, that was, like, a lesson that she would have learned when she was growing up. And then, like, it applied in that instance. And, like, oh, man, you would have been like, yeah. Like, that just type of connection would have just really brought me in. I don't know.
And personally, I think Jyn Erso's character was fairly compelling. I wish actually they would have done more with Cassian, because he just seems like an accessory that at times you're supposed to care about.
Yeah.
Or
you could have built his story. Like, you don't know. I've been through some stuff.
Right. And then
okay, well, what stuff?
Like, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I think the execution was really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just my opinion.
What's your beans?
I know a lot of people who liked it.
All right. What's your beans?
So Beans as a Star Wars movie, 1.
Sure.
As a movie, like production quality, acting quality, 2.5.
Sure.
The hardest thing for me actually right now is trying to decide whether or not I'm going to own it and put it with the rest of my Star Wars movies, because I am a diehard, and this it's
hard to swallow.
Okay, I'm going to retract my original statement.
Yeah,
I do think it blows. Like, I really do not like.
You're gonna buy it, and here's why you're gonna buy it is because when the rest of your kids, as they grow up and get into the Star Wars realm of things, you're going to start them at 1. You're going to go 1, 2, 3. You're going to do Rogue One, and then you're going to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Am I?
Yeah.
Except there won't be a 10. It'll just be 7, 8,
it'll
9.
Be like Han Solo spinoff.
Yeah, there will be a couple Han Solo ones, which I'm actually looking forward to. I think those will be good.
To that.
All I know is that they cast Lando Calrissian really, really well.
Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
we got to wrap this up.
One bean for Rogue One for me. What about for you?
I think it's a 2.5.
Okay.
All across the board. 2.5 as a Star Wars, 2.5 as a go see it.
All right.
But with the final 4 minutes as like a 9.5 bean out of 5.
I gotta say, the last 5 I was hooked.
Yeah,
they did that really well.
I wanted to hit rewind.
More consistent.
I wish it could have been longer. Like give me some rewind of that action of Darth Vader just going bananas.
All right, here's some Star Wars.
Yeah,
like,
there's some Star
we're
Wars.
on a ship. There's lightsabers. Like,
barely any dark side.
Right.
It was just Empire, less dark side.
True.
And there could have been a little bit. You could have had more Darth. Totally more Darth.
A lot more Darth.
All right, I got to really whiz.
Really whiz.
Let's call it. John, thank you for joining me in 2017 for the Roasted Christian Podcast.
You're welcome.
I enjoy doing this with you. Listeners, thanks for listening in. It has been our pleasure. And thanks for joining us on the Roasted Christian Podcast. I'm Bobby.
I'm John.
Thanks for listening.
You're welcome.